Little Drop of Poison is a song that I think primarily identifies the fact that the world is not perfect and is very flawed. It also tells a story of the views and experiences of someone who acknowledges this fact and is very accepting of it. This is represented through the song in various ways and through both the lyrics and arrangement, both instrumentally and vocally. The song as a whole is casting the world in a very negative light and focuses heavily on how flawed the world is. The first line of the song sets the tone going forward very well. I like my town with a little drop of poison. I think that this line signifies that the person from whose perspective the song is sung likes some imperfection in their life and doesn't want the world to be perfect. I think that this line is also an acknowledgement that the world is not perfect, this being represented by the idea of the little drop of poison. Particularly the use of poison could be a direct metaphor for death or suffering in the world. The second line of the lyrics supports this almost anarchist way of viewing the world. Nobody knows they're lining up to go insane. I think that this line is designed to represent the fact that life will throw a lot at you, and some cannot cope with this, causing them to, in a sense, go insane. I think that here Waits is trying to say that people are almost blind and naive as to what the world is really like, ignoring the reality that the world can be a difficult place and choosing instead to believe that the world is perfect. They will gladly just line up and almost walk into insanity through living their daily lives. The next line of the song moves on to a slightly different but still related topic. I smoked my friends down to the filter. I believe that this is a metaphor for the fact that he has used up his friends and they are no longer any good to him. Perhaps he was only ever friends with them in order to use them and they no longer had anything else to offer him. This reinforces our narrator's very negative outlook on life and almost suggests that he doesn't need or want true friends, simply just people that will offer him something. The reference to smoking creates this imagery that once he is finished with people, he will simply discard them as easily as a cigarette butt. All of this is supported by the arrangement during these lines. The track starts with a piano line playing some chords in a very percussive way. This creates a sense of anger throughout the song and I think helps to reinforce the negative messages that Waits is trying to get across throughout the song. Over the top of these piano chords, there is also the sound of Waits breathing in a very rhythmic way in time with the music. I think that this almost casts the narrator in a very animalistic way. They are clearly very angry at the world and this creates the imagery of a bull or other large animal that is ready to attack. To add another element to the song, there is a wailing vocal line above everything else. This creates a very ominous, creepy tone to the song and almost a sense of unease in the listener. I think that this could almost be present in order to symbolise the negative aspects of life that Waits is talking about throughout this song. I also think that it is significant that the vocals are female, as traditionally this could represent vulnerability and helplessness. The song then goes on to introduce an element that I find quite interesting. She left in the fall, that's her picture on the wall. She always had that little drop of poison. This line almost seems to introduce the presence of a female into the story being told. What I find significant here is the line, she always had that little drop of poison. I believe that this means that whoever this woman was understood the narrator and his point of view. It's as if he is trying to say that she always had the same spark in her that he has in him. This is a line that is also repeated throughout the song, showing that it has a lot of significance within the overall story that Waits is telling. Waits then moves on to tackle religion in the next verse of the song. Did the devil make the world while God was sleeping? I find this line interesting as it tackles a subject that a lot of people have a lot of very strong views on. The way I interpret this line is that it's taking the traditional story of creation and almost questioning why there is so much pain and suffering in the world if a loving God had created it. It seems to suggest that in order to explain this, the devil must have created the world and not God. He then goes on to almost completely question God's existence by saying, "You'll never get a wish from a bone." I believe this is a reference to the tradition of making a wish after snapping a turkey's wishbone. I think that Waits is trying to say that there is no point bothering to make a wish, as it will never come true. To reframe this point, he could be saying that if there were a God, then wishes would be granted and the world wouldn't be as difficult. In conclusion, I believe that this song is designed to highlight the fact that the world is not a perfect place, and that there is plenty wrong with it. The song also highlights Tom Waits' rather negative outlook on life and the world around him through both his lyrics and the aggressive way in which he sings them. The song portrays his feelings and beliefs in a very indirect way that I think is fitting of his personality.